What's going on, YouTube? So a few videos ago, I gave y'all a little background story on how I got where I was, as far as my journey, you know, on how I got, as far as getting into the position I am now, as far as getting into a new house and, you know, everything it took for me to get where I am. And this is just the beginning. So in today's video, I'm just going to give y'all some tips to get y'all into a similar position if y'all ain't there already. So stay tuned. So you want to put yourself into a better position financially and give yourself a better financial footprint, right? Well, I'm going to go ahead and tell you what I did to get myself where I'm at. Before I bought, before me and my wife bought our house, we were living in a 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment. Or 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment. And it was okay for what it was, but, you always want to strive for something bigger and better, And we had already told ourselves that, within a year, maybe 2 years, we want to move out and, get a bigger place. So, of course, when it comes to doing any type of loan, whether it's for a car, truck, house, any kind of loan, period, any lender is going to look at credit. And I'm sure this is like beating a dead horse. There's a lot of YouTube videos out there that talk about credit and how to get yourself into a better place. And most of them have good points. I'm not saying that none of the stuff that anybody has already said are wrong. Everybody has good points. Everybody has good, methods to get, a better standpoint on, credit. I'm just talking about my personal experience, So we started looking at houses online. We kept going back and forth about whether or not we were going to rent for another year or just go ahead and bite the bullet and buy something. And the first thing we did was we actually renewed the lease on our apartment and decided at the last minute that we weren't going to stay there. So we went ahead and started looking again, and we looked on a few rental websites, a few property managers in the area for where we lived at, but we weren't really seeing anything that would be worth what we want. So one of the last places we looked at, it would have been perfect for us. It was I believe it was a 5-bedroom, 3-bath. They wanted like $1,300 a month for it. Nice size yard, front and back, 2-car garage. It was a pretty big house. And it was enough room where I can even bring the truck with the trailer when I was still driving, at that time. But when we looked at the listing, it didn't say anything about, they had a bunch of hidden things going on. So we went and actually looked at the house, and the company that we looked at the house through, they have a key, they have a lockbox on the door. You put in the code, you get the key out, you can look at the place on your own. It's like a self-guided tour, So we looked at the place, and it just, something didn't seem right, because we looked around, we realized the garage had a bunch of furniture in it, like as if like it was set up like a man cave type thing or something like that. So I'm sitting out there, and there was also a car in the driveway. So like, this don't seem like, like what is the deal? What is this about? So we're sitting out there, and a guy and his wife come out. Now we're really asking, raising our eyebrows, like what's really going on? Okay. They say that the homeowner rented half of the house out to this one couple. So we don't have access to the entire house. Not only that, but when we looked inside of the place, it was, food on the counter, dishes in the sink, laundry was being done in the, laundry room or whatever. So we're like, okay, we pretty much, we turned that down right away. Like, we're not sharing the house with nobody. So we just went ahead and just said, you know what, let's just go ahead and just get something on our own. So very first step we did was got a secured credit card. Capital One. A secured credit card for like $200, $250, whatever. You put the little deposit down for $200 or whatever it is, and boom, that's your credit line. We did that. That was our first line of credit outside of we had actually, my wife she paid her car off, and it was like perfect timing because at that point she didn't have another line of credit. So that was going to be her next line of credit, and we did that for a few months, and next thing you know, we started getting offers for places like Fingerhood and pre-approved credit card offers with all these little random credit card companies I've never even heard of, but we just ignored all of them. And then we looked at Fingerhood, we looked at the magazines they would send in the mail, and we're like, okay, a lot of the stuff that they have is more expensive than what you can actually buy in store somewhere. But I went ahead and bit the bullet and got that. And I would buy little small things here and there, and I would just make the minimum payment once or twice, and then the third payment I'll just pay it all the way off, just to avoid the interest. So Fingerhood, it's not bad as long as you can deal with the fact that all of their stuff is overpriced. I just did it just to have an extra line of credit, another line of credit. So with the secured credit card, that opened up a door for another line of credit, which was Fingerhood. And then, my wife, when with her secured credit card, that opened up a line for her because she likes to do a lot of shopping, obviously, and she got a store credit card from Macy's. So now she has a credit line with them. And with those two credit lines, my credit lines and her credit lines, after a few months, that opened up another door for just a regular standard credit card. So now we both have two regular Capital One credit cards with a nice credit line. So now we both got 3 credit lines, and we would kind of bounce back and forth between any of our credit lines whenever we wanted to get something. But we always kept our credit usage low. You never want to get too high to maxing out your credit card because that looks bad. You want to keep your credit usage low and pay it off whenever you can, but don't take too long to pay it off. And then at the same time, just building up the credit history on these new accounts. Credit offers are still coming in the mail. Credit offers are still coming in the mail. But once we ran off with these credit lines for a while, another thing we also did, which was a key factor, was looking at our actual credit report. And whatever little small things we had that were on our credit reports, we just went ahead and paid them off. If we were able to afford to pay off something bigger, we went ahead and paid that off. Anything that's a substantial amount outside of medical bills and student loans and all that other stuff that, most people aren't going to be able to pay off. Call up the creditor and offer a settlement. This is how much I can afford to pay. They can either say yes or no. 9 times out of 10, they're going to want the money because they get paid from that. And, the original company that, you have the debt with, they can clear that out of their account and they don't have to worry about that anymore. And that looks good on you because now you have one less debt as long as you let them know that you want it to be deleted. Not paid in full, not paid, not settled, deleted. But, just to add to that, it's kind of a double-edged sword because if you get it deleted, that's great because now you have one debt off your credit report. However, if it's an account that you had a long credit history with, as far as the credit age, you may not want to delete that. You can go ahead and have it as paid in full or whatever, especially if it's an account that you've had for, 8, 9, 10 years or whatever. Just go ahead and keep it on there, paid off, paid in full, whatever, and just roll with it. But we did that, and then we bit the bullet and went ahead and got pre-approved for a home loan. At the same time, me being a veteran, of course I'm going to go with the VA home loan. So we got pre-approved for more than what I was actually aiming to get. And once we did the pre-approval, we went ahead and started the whole VA process. Once we found the house we wanted, and everything moved real quick as far as me having all my, ducks in a row, all my paperwork done, credit paperwork turned in, bank accounts, all of that stuff, so that the underwriter can do their little thing and do everything they need to do as quickly as possible. We had a few little small hiccups, but everything worked out, and literally in less than a month, we ended up closing on a house. Brand new. Well, it's not brand new. It's like, it's like 3 years old, 3.5 years old, 3.5-year-old house. And the house that we have is it was on the market for 6 months after we got it. Before we bought it, it was on the market for 6 months. But that wouldn't have been possible if it wasn't for everything we did credit-wise to get us where we want to be at. Now, me personally, I'm still looking at another few lines of credit that I want to get for myself personally. But one of the big things that can make or break your credit is how you manage that credit. Like, I have quite a few credit lines now, and so does my wife. And the biggest thing you don't want to do is overextend yourself. You don't want to spend too much money at one time and then, try to figure out how to pay those, that credit line back down to a reasonable amount or pay off anyway. And I say probably about 3 months after we got into the house, or somewhere in that particular time range, there's a video on my channel. We bought a Ram. It's a 2015 Ram 1500 Laramie. And hell, I love this damn truck. But that's also something that worked in our favor from doing everything we needed to do as far as credit, on top of giving us another credit line for the the loan we got on the car. So that's another loan. But that's literally all you got to do, man. It's just pull your credit report, check your credit, see what you can pay off, and whatever you don't have, whatever you do have on your credit that's not too much, pay it off. Offer a settlement. Get new lines of credit without maxing the cards out, and just work off of that. That's literally just work off of that. And then at the same time, the more credit lines you have, the more stuff gets reported at the same time. the better off you'll be if you can keep all of those credit lines paid on time and those balances low. You know, a couple of weeks ago, I bit the bullet on a freaking another store credit card for Sleep Number. I got approved. I got a brand new adjustable base with memory foam, all the bells and whistles, motion lights and everything like that, charging ports, and the whole 9 yards on this bed. That'll be here in the middle of next month because they're backlogged right now with everything going on with this virus. But I mean, just don't overextend yourself. Make sure, and whatever you do decide to do as far as your credit, you can afford to make those payments. That's the bottom line right there, man. If you can do those few things right there, you're set. You'll be golden. Because it doesn't matter how much money you have in your account. If you don't have a good credit history, nobody's going to look at you. I mean, you can make $1 million a year, but if you go and try and buy a $400,000 house, $500,000 house, they pull your credit report and you have no credit or even bad credit. Just because you make $1 million a year, you can prove it with bank accounts and stuff like that. That don't mean that they're going to give you that money. They don't know how you manage that money. Your credit report is your footprint on how you handle money, period. So, like, even if I get into a position where I can make, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 a year, I'm still gonna finance a car. I'm still gonna finance a house. I'm not gonna buy nothing right out because I want my credit report to reflect how I handle my money. Even if I had cash in my hand, I'm still gonna manage that money well. But I want that money to be managed in a way that lenders can see it. Banks can look at it. Because that's going to be the only thing that's going to get you ahead. No matter how much money you got. That credit report is your report card for your bank accounts. How you handle your own money. But man, that's pretty much it, man. Like, that's literally how I got where I am right now. And I'm still working on a few other things because this house right here that me and my wife have, this is just a stepping stone. We gonna have, we'll probably be in this house, I want to say probably 4 or 5 years, and then, that's my goal anyway. Bare minimum. If we go over that amount, that's fine and dandy. But this is just the starter home that we have right now. I got goals on something a lot bigger than that, a lot bigger than what we're in. But you always got to strive to do something bigger, strive to work towards something bigger, better yourself. If you're not working towards anything, what are you working for, period? So I just wanted to drop some knowledge on y'all on that right quick, and y'all be easy, and I'll see y'all on the next one.